Hello and welcome back. After 1 week away, the Friday Love and Learn has returned with a great group today, and we're just really looking forward to having some conversations to round out our week. It's always awesome to reflect and think about the things that we loved and we've learned. And so I missed being able to be a part of this last week, and I'm so excited to run this back again. And so I want to welcome Jeff McQuiston of ESU 17. And Laura Plaus, the returning champ. We have, right? Is how we want to say this. So,
right.
Laura,
returning champ, Laura Plaus. Thank you.
Laura's been on a couple of times now from ESU 7, and so grateful to have her joining us, along with Jason Everett of ESU 10. And so what we're going to do with this session, if you're new to tuning in, is we take around just a lap and say, hey, we're going to talk about the things we love this week, about the things we learned this week. It is a session that is, again, reflective, it's informative, it's fun. And so we would really want to invite anyone who's listening online to comment. We can bring your comments in and just be a part of this conversation. And so with that being said, we're going to dive right into it with the love. And so, Jeff, what is something that you loved about this past week?
All right. Well, so I live in Valentine, and my office technically is in Ainsworth, 45 miles east of Valentine. So I get to put in quite a bit of windshield time. And I've modified it somewhat. I'm actually in our Valentine office today. And but one thing I love on the road is, I get to listen to Sirius XM, and the Pulse is my favorite radio station in the morning. And I love Ron Ross in the morning. He's got a great program. He's got a great radio voice. And he will have his QOD every day, which is his question of the day. And so it's kind of like a trivia thing. And most of the time I don't know what he's talking about. But sometimes he'll have a general question as well that he'll just open it up and people can reply back to him. And so his question that he just posed out this morning, or no, not this morning, but Tuesday, he said, so what's your favorite boy band? And I'm not sure what precipitated that particular. Laura's nodding. She must have been listening. And so it took me back 25 years because when our kids were young and they were all sitting in the back seat of the car, before seatbelts were a thing, they were just kind of lollygagging in the back seat. We'd pop in a Backstreet Boys, probably a cassette tape at that point, and we're just jamming out, going down the highway. And so it took me back. So I posted that to his response, and he actually read it. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, celebrity.
That is pretty fun. I'm going to pose the question though around the horn here. Then, what favorite boy band? What do you got? And if anyone's tuned in too, can post in the comments. We'd love to hear your favorite boy band. But what did you reply, Jeff? Like, was it Backstreet Boys from those memories, or?
Backstreet Boys was the only boy band I was even aware of. There's probably more.
Oh, Jeff, as a 90s girl, you got NSYNC. You got 98 Degrees. You got Backstreet Boys. I mean, like, they were cranking them out in the 90s. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
but
for sure.
My favorite boy band, I believe, is the original boy band. That's the Beatles. That is my all-time favorite boy band.
Oh.
It's a good one, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go with New Kids on the Block.
New Kids on the Block. That's not a bad one.
When you started talking about the OGs.
I know. Yep. Yeah.
I grew up in a household full of the Beatles in that era. So my mom's definitely a hippie. So that's the stuff I grew up on. Love that. My bands, I was more of a 80s band. So I was into the U2 and REM and some of those.
Nice.
Actually, back when I was in high school, actually, and it was funny because we did our senior year, everybody took a survey, and one of the questions was your favorite group. And so we just had our 40th class reunion a couple years ago. And so that was one of the trivia questions I had for the group was, what was our favorite rock band or group? And it was actually the Bee Gees. So in that late 70s era, Bee Gees were hot.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're really spanning a lot of different. when I like sixth grade me was like just getting CDs for my like clunky CD player or whatever. And I in my first, I would say 5 that I purchased, Boyz II Men was one of them. So I gotta like put that in the group too. I remember being a nerdy little like 7th grader and listening to that like on the bus ride home from track meets, and oh my gosh, ridiculous. We are getting some Bee Gees love though. Debbie feeling that selection for sure. And as always, I just love the direction that these go sometimes. So let's kind of continue with this then. Laura, what was your love from this past week?
Well, okay, in a typical week, like thank you, Andrew. We're the boys. Yeah. First, and listening to that on the way home from a track meet, like, yeah, that's real pump up music. Boy,
hold on. I mean, if we really want to get into this, so I just loved that music and would kind of like even sing. I'd put little performances on, like on the bus sometimes. Little 7th grade me did not care.
Yeah.
So
love that journey for you.
So there it is. There it is. Yep.
Okay. So my love. Okay. So I am a sucker for a good reunion video. A pet that hasn't been home in 2 years, soldiers coming home and surprising their families. Rex Chapman is a great follow on Twitter. He posts reunion videos. I mean, I just sob. I think they are so wonderful. And just recently, I've been seeing a lot of, these COVID reunion videos. I haven't seen my grandma in a year. And so now like it is these grandparents just squeezing their grandkids, and like students meeting their teachers for the first time in person, and spouses who have been separated, because of different nursing homes or whatever it may be. Like, it just feels like we've been holding our breath for a year, and now we're like coming up for air, and so many hugs. And it is, oh my gosh, I love it. I saw my aunt for the first time in over a year last week, and I sobbed. Like we miss our people. And so I love it. Keep them coming. I will sob every time. Keep them coming, please. Yeah.
Oh, that is all in the feels with those, because you're right. That's, and I think in the instance that we're talking about here, it really hits home because we've all felt that, right? Over the course of the people, friends we couldn't see, family we couldn't see, whatever it was. I'm getting this. Okay. Talking about it.
I know.
Oh, that is a love. That is definitely a love. Jason, what was your love from this week?
I would have to say, we have been getting our, speaking of COVID, our STEM trailers back out into the schools. And so getting into the schools, getting to work with the kids, I just think it's seeing that curiosity in their eyes. I've missed that since last year. Just the potential that these STEM trailers and the labs that we have in them bring out is super cool. And then with that, this year I've also been able to travel with another colleague here. And so just spending that windshield time has been really, really good. We're both brainstormers, and that's, if that was a Clifton strength, that would be mine, brainstorming.
Brainstormer?
Yeah. And so that's just been really cool. And that probably is, I won't give it up, but that's one of my learnings of this week too. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm going to actually, here's Deb's comment for the STEM trailers, and I'm gonna double back to that too. Jason, will you explain a little bit more about those?
Yeah, so we actually have 3 trailers, and they're just the cargo trailers, utility cargo trailers, and then within those we have 10 different labs that we actually physically take into the schools, and they set them up on tables, and so they just have different equipment. One of them we call our UAV programming. So that's our drones and our one type of robot, unmanned vehicle. We have a robotics lab, which is a robotic arm. We have 3D printers, a welding simulator, just all sorts of things that get kids hands-on experience with the STEM fields, the STEM careers.
That's super cool. Gosh, I wish I had this kind of stuff. And I guess maybe it didn't exist when I was a kid, but like jealous of those like learning experiences and grateful
Totally.
too that kids today have access to that and that our ESUs are providing those kind of things. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear about. Well, Jen, I agree. I appreciate this bringing joy to my day as well. Part of my love is just being able to be here and chatting with everyone and having folks, comment in online. And my love for this week is from personal life. So I have my kiddos half the time is the arrangement that I have. And over spring break, I did not have them. And so it is the longest stretch in 2 years where I don't get to see them. And for about 12 days, I did not get to see my kiddos. And I was really bummed about that, obviously. And so when they came back, pure joy, like really meant a lot to me because I missed them pretty terribly over that 12-day stretch. And there was a moment that first day back. I mean, yes, the initial hugs were amazing, and I was so looking forward to that. But I'm really former English teacher of me is super nerdy as a dad watching shows with my kids because I'm constantly pausing it and talking about life lessons. We've already run Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, and my son at 7 like understands there's a mentor that ushers you into the new world, and like to point these things out. I'm ruining them probably, but that's fine. We'll be weird in the same way. And so we were watching something, Korra, The Legend of Korra, or something along those lines, one of my son's shows. And he like stands up, stops the show, and he's like, "Dad, what did they just say?" And like rewinds it. And I have the quote for you that he wanted to have a conversation about. It was, "Admitting your fears is the first and most difficult step." And he wanted to like entertain that thought and go, why is it the most difficult? And what does it mean to like admit your fears? And we got into just a really cool, like 10, 15-minute conversation. And he's 7. He just turned 7 in the end of March. And I was like, I love this. And I just loved that moment. And it's really been energizing this whole week to see them again and spend some more time with them. So some more loves coming from around the state brook. Love of love. STEM trailers, again, I think is what we're referencing there. Yep, a great example of providing equity to districts who don't have access to those things. What the ESUs do is that kind of work, which is great. Right, and promoting different things. And so we also are all about learning, right? And so we'll do that as our segue. We learn, promote learning. Jeff, what's something you learned this week?
All right, and Andrew and I had this little conversation pre-show, and I explained, I reflected on this a little bit, and I guess the learning that I had recently really wasn't a learning as it was more of a realization that I had, where I just happened across our agency improvement page that I had put together for our would have been our advanced ed visit a few years ago. Would have been 3 years ago actually, so I'm looking through our profile, and I've got this little section where I highlighted who our principals and superintendents were 3 years ago. And the realization I had was that as of next year, and we've only got 5 school districts up in ESU 17, but next year we will have had a complete turnover in all of our superintendents within a 3-4 year period of time. And I would have never had, when it happens year at a time, you're not really thinking about that, but that's such a narrow window of time. And actually within the same window of time, we've got 7 principals, and 4 of them are new since 3 years ago. And it's just the realization of the impact of all that leadership change in such a short amount of time, and what an impact that can have in our schools. And then you look back at the ESU, we have not had quite that turnover. So how can we be more of that sustainer and helper in those transitions?
Wow. Yeah, that is so much over a short period of time. And you're right. Relationships are the drivers of learning, right? And culture. And that's a challenge when that kind of turnover is happening. And I would assume, too, that those administrators are used to relying on one another for sharing ideas and supporting each other. And so when there's not even consistency on a district to district basis, that like talk about that support role, the importance of the ESUs in that and being there.
Yeah, and I think especially this past year with the challenges that the superintendents specifically have had to face. And up until maybe a month ago, our superintendents, Geraldine, our administrator, scheduled, it was every Thursday morning, 10 o'clock, our superintendents got together, and typically they met once a quarter for the regular superintendent meetings, but just the need for them to have that contact and that support for each other and to find out what everybody was doing. And so, it's an hour, maybe a little bit longer, but those have been really important meetings this past year.
I can't imagine not having the amount of superintendents and principals that we do. We have 33 public school districts, and so it's just incredible to watch those meetings and the mentorships that do happen, and the networking, especially since March of last year, how that's increased. And it's so important to have that networking and just somebody you can call up on the phone and ask those questions, especially as a newbie.
Yeah. Gosh, it's a challenge, and grateful that you all are not only just aware of that, sensitive to it, obviously, and making intentional steps to be supportive, and as we are across the state, right, in that way. Some comments here, because the chat is lively. This is awesome. We have a love from Debbie, that teacher's sharing things from a class that she had taught. So that's always energizing.
Oh no, Andrew froze. Oh, you guys, we can't do this without it.
You're back.
Okay.
We
can't do it without you.
Oh, we've got the rating change.
You're here. I was planning to just.
Laura could take it. Laura.
I was.
Okay, well, thanks for holding down on my absence. I don't know what that little hiccup was there, but Stephanie, you're right. My son, I hope this is a good thing. I feel like there's going to come a point where we're going to have to he's going to learn enough to be able to outwit me, and we'll have some dialogue where I'm going to lose. So I got to be careful what I set him up to be able to do. Maybe that's a good thing long term, though. Learn from Debbie, to continually be reminded. There's so much to learn regarding equity. And that's, wow, is that just a prevalent conversation? I think each and every week. I've definitely referenced it before on here as well. And Deb kind of echoes that. We for sure are better together. Absolutely. And sounds like my little guy. Yeah, I think so too. And I'm grateful. He and my daughter both are just really thoughtful individuals, and that's encouraging to me. So learn this past week, Laura.
All right, well, looking forward to, speaking of equity, next week, SDA has a training on equity with Dr. Shirley Vargas and Lane Carr, and we're so excited for that. I think it'll be great. We started the work maybe last spring and just continuing it. So looking forward to that, Learn. I did bring a prop, and I feel like reading Rainbow. Like, hi, I'm Lori, and the book I'm currently reading it's called Think Again by Adam Grant. He's a psychologist. He's written some other books that I've really liked called Give and Take, and then he has another one called Originals. But his book is called Think Again, and the subtitle is The Power of Knowing What You Don't Know. And one of his big thing, his big thing is this idea of rethinking. And he says it's really important. It's this process of kind of doubting what you know, being curious about what you don't know, and then updating your thinking based on new evidence, which is basically the scientific method, which as a former science teacher, I'm all over it. But he just does a great job of encouraging you to rethink what you think you know. And I think this last year, that's what I've been forced to do. Well, I thought you could only give feedback face-to-face. Well, we have to give feedback a different way, so we need to figure it out. I thought that grading had to be, done this way. And so it's I have really enjoyed this book. He starts each chapter with like a little story and then kind of uses it to move forward his ideas. And one of my favorite quotes from the book, which has been a huge learn for me, is the purpose of learning is not to affirm our beliefs. It's to evolve our beliefs. And as a learner, my, number one strength is I'm a learner. And for me, that's just like, yeah, that's exact. I don't want to go to places that are going to confirm what I think I know. I want to go and find things that are going to push my thinking. So Think Again, Adam Grant, 5 stars.
That was beautiful. I love that quote. I love that recommendation. When folks following along are feeling that too.
Yeah.
She's book dropping. Pay attention, folks, for sure. And Lisa's saying the same. Oh, great podcast with Armchair
I
Expert.
love Armchair Expert too. Oh, Dax Shepard, man, what a great podcast.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. As soon as I saw I was referencing a podcast, I was like, Laura's gonna be all over that. Podcast fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so it's yep.
Yep. And yep, we're just having some back and forth there. Julie, I'm with you. What a highlight every Friday. Love and learn. So great to connect with folks and learn about what they're doing. And Jason, what's your learn from this past week?
Think Again. No, that's a great recommendation. I'll definitely be putting that in.
That happens on here often, though. I'm sort of because I go last all the time. I'm like, it just happened. The learn is like right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of alluded to this. I was brainstorming with one of my colleagues. I don't know, some of you might not know, ESU 10 is a pretty big area, and a couple of our schools are over 2 hours away. We can actually get to Lincoln from Kearney quicker than we can to some of our schools. So a 4-hour car ride in a day, we get a lot of brainstorming in. But we were talking about STEM, and he's going to be a science teacher. And so I'm really digging the STEAM idea, adding those arts to it. And so this might not be like exactly this week, because I've been working for the last couple of years with some different people on it, but this week it came back around full circle. But that idea of, I don't know if you guys have heard it, it's called projection mapping. And it's taking what you have on your projector and then being able to map that onto a 3D object, like a 3D cube or a just being able to tell a story differently using that. And so if you guys get the chance, there's an incredible video that is way beyond what projection mapping most people do with it, but it's called Boxes by Dot and Dolly. And Dot and Dolly are 2 robots, and they're actually kind of choreographing this projection mapping. And it is just absolutely incredible visual art. And then with that, as I was doing some research with that this week, another video came up, and it was called, it was just data-informed art using artificial intelligence. And the guy who does that is Rafiq Anadol. And he takes huge data sets, public data sets, and he puts that data into an artificial intelligence algorithm and creates art with it. And it is just amazing. And then another one that kind of had to do with that. And these are all STEM related things that kids could really do with these trailers that we put out there. But this guy creates user generated art in mirrors. And so somebody walks by his display and he might have junk up on the wall, and it rotates so that it actually looks like the person. It is just absolutely amazing. And this guy his name is Daniel Rosen. And so those are some fun art things that if you don't have the STEM side of it, if you don't have the mathematics and the engineering and things like that, we'd never be able to enjoy.
Wow. You just gave me a litany of things here that, again, along with Laura and our reflections with Jet, like, this is great. Like, I'm gonna spend the next half hour when we get off this conversation going back and checking
YouTube videos.
Yeah, and
it's going to take more than a half hour. You'll get sucked in.
Oh, that's right. This is a 4-hour car ride, so it takes me a little bit of time. I think Debbie actually shared in the chat a link that might have been, because I was looking forward as well while you were sharing to that video, and so if folks are interested, maybe check it out there. Wow, and so much of that too kind of gets back to some of the AI explorations work that we've been able to kind of do here recently as well. And I'll say I just actually this morning reached out to our this Dr. Helen Crompton, who is our coach through ISTE for this AI explorations thing that I'm getting a chance to go through right now. She's gonna be on an upcoming podcast talking about all the different ways in which artificial intelligence is influencing not only what's out there, but then the impact that's going to have on education in the future. And it's fascinating stuff. It's just been really incredible. So look for that. My learn this week. So I learned a lot during Rule 84 meeting because I still am not swimming fluently in the alphabet soup of all the different acronyms and things that are going on. So I certainly appreciated being able to have conversations there and learn a little bit. Another learn, shout out to Kristen Slechta, who, I mean, maybe should be, I hope she's not upset with me sharing this, but I purchased this one. I don't know if you can see it. And these are not new. I know at my old school, we actually had these and we put these on folks' desks, but she gave me the idea of actually filling out one of those and taking a screenshot of it and either texting or emailing it to folks that, you know, instead of maybe posting that somewhere. And so I've sent a couple of those out this week, and that's been really fun to do, and just a fun idea. And then I got a couple learns. And then to play off of what Jeff was saying, as far as maybe just a revisiting or a reflection, I found myself this week, it was a tough March. I took a couple days off, 2 COVID shots in the midst of that, and just kind of felt a little run down and did not get as much done as I feel like I normally would. And I've been so grateful during this time for other people who extending grace and encouraging me to give myself a little more grace. But I think even more than that, by seeing just the great work that's going on around the state, and this probably sounds cliche, but truly this week it hit home for me how much inspiration and motivation I derive from just hearing people talk about what they're doing and how passionate they are in pursuit of that. And it has really meant a lot in the last week or so. Every time I get a chance to be around folks doing exactly what the three of you are doing here and everybody online. So that's happens all the time, but just, I don't know, tugged at a heartstring this week that has really just been resonating throughout. So that said, any final comments as we're kind of bringing this Love and Learn to a close? We got some people still posting online.
I'd say I want to echo that too. I was kind of thinking about a different love too, Andrew, and it's just having the colleagues that we do across the state. And I'm so fortunate to get to work with professional developers and everybody in our building here. It's been an interesting year, to say the least, and you know, just personal and things, medical things going on, and having that grace and everything that they all provide. We definitely work with an incredible group of people.
Yeah, grace is a big word. It's been like a key word the last year, to give others and to give yourself too. I think that's so important.
Yeah, yep. Good point.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard though, because we as ESU folk, man, it's tough. I mean, we want to be there for our schools. We want to be on Andrew at the ESUCC level. I mean, you know, that's tough for us, but I think it's so important. So thanks for speaking to that.
Yeah, well, And thank you all for speaking today and investing in that in this format and each and every week too for those that tune in. So thank you so much. It's been a really great Friday Love and Learn. We hope everybody has a terrific weekend and look forward to seeing you. Oh, I should say this. Monday for the season finale of the Monday Motivation. Definitely check that out. Amy Morin is an international best-selling author. She's awesome. She's going to be joining us actually to promote her new book and will lead us through that motivation to kickstart next week. And so we'll see you then on Monday, 9:30 in the morning. Next Friday, 10:30, same time here for Love and Learn. And so hopefully we'll connect with you then. Thanks.